everyone, welcome to your reading. I will say my voice is a little bit hoarse because I just finished filming another reading and I had to redo one of the groups because the camera just cut out randomly. So I am gonna be like periodically checking to make sure that we're still filming. So if you see a lot of jump cuts, that's either me needing to rest my voice for a minute or I'm checking the camera. Okay. I will say, do not be freaked out because I know your tarot cards look super intense. If I'm being honest with you, all three of your tarot cards are like the scariest cards in tarot to me personally. Like you're starting off with the Five of Pentacles, which, ugh. And then we have the Seven of Swords, ugh. And then we have the Tower, dear God. But don't worry, I'm gonna explain it. We also have Rebel, challenges authority to effect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. We have the fourth house of Roots, and then we also have House, which is very much like the fourth house. When I think of the fourth house, I think of home, I think of family. And it even says right here, family and home. I just noticed that. Family, home, background, comfort, cooking, inner world, real estate, shelter, self-care, rejuvenation, habits, and shell. It's so funny because I feel like your tarot paints such like a dark picture, but then your oracle cards kind of clarify all of those tarot cards. If you have been someone who has dealt with abandonment, has dealt with liars, cheaters, infidelity, flash in the pan romances that are very intense but don't last, you've dealt with love bombing, even like issues with like your family, if you had parents who were really inconsistent, you felt emotionally neglected or abused. I mean, any type of difficulty when it comes to love and relationships in general, just feeling heartbroken, feeling abandoned, feeling like you don't have support, feeling like you can't trust anybody, feeling like people leave or people kind of pull out the rug from underneath you. And you think that they're one person, but turns out they were wearing a mask and they're someone else. Surprise. Someone else has stabbed me in the back. I mean, we don't have the Ten of Swords, but I bet you've been there, with these tarot cards. So that's your history. That's your history. And, your future spouse may mirror that. They may have been through that themselves. And if that's not resonating, pick a different group. Or this reading just isn't for you because you've been through it. And for some of you, this may be like a repeating pattern in your history. Or it could be one person who really did a number on you and, put you in this position of going through a tower moment. They were in the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords is someone who's dishonest, someone who is self-serving, someone who has bad intentions, someone who steals something from you. And it doesn't have to be something physical. It could be stealing your peace of mind. Taking advantage of your trust, taking advantage of your kindness. Five of Pentacles. Yeah, I can talk about financial scarcity, but in the context of your reading especially, talks about being alone, not having support, feeling isolated, feeling like you've been left out in the cold, like nobody cares. And so your future spouse comes in and he's the type of husband who gives you stability, who makes you feel safe, someone you can trust, someone who rebels against this pattern that you have seen over and over again in your life for a lot of you. Or it could be a pattern with one individual, like just repeatedly they broke your heart and maybe you had like an on and off again relationship, or maybe you repeatedly had your mom or your dad hurt you over and over again. Again, it can come from different people, but they break that pattern. I mean, they make you question I mean, for some of you, you may have been to a point to where you're like, are all men like this? Or are all people like this? Like, am I ever going to meet somebody I can trust? Someone who's going to stay? Someone I can rely upon? So they break this. They break this pattern. They push against it. They show you what stability, safety, security, what reliability looks like. Finally, someone I can depend upon. Someone I can feel safe to put down roots with. Someone I can build something with. Someone that brings me comfort and not instability. Someone that feels like home. Someone who's going to stay. Someone I can trust. And think about roots. Think about a house. Think about a solid foundation. So you have the type of husband where you have that solid foundation where they want to build with you, where you don't feel compelled to look through their phone or look through their, social media or whatever. Like, there's trust there. You don't feel like you have to doubt them or question them. You can take what they say at face value. They're honest. They're breaking each of these patterns, They're going against that Five of Pentacles, that Seven of Swords, that Tower that you have known. They're offering you something stable, something real, something honest. And your husband could be like a family man, someone who wants children or, really wants to be a dad, or, someone who you can come home to, or they can come home to you. Like this feeling of like, I love coming home to you. I love the life that we've created together. I love just staying at home with you and being cozy and being cuddly. And I like that. I'm not out here chasing a fleeting feeling. I'm not out here cheating on you for momentary pleasure. I'm not out here seeking instant gratification. I want something real. I want something honest. I want something deeper. So this isn't someone who's going to run around on you, or that is hiding things. Like your husband isn't out here being unfaithful. He's not hiding something like, I don't know, like a gambling addiction or something. Like, he's not hiding things from you. If he was struggling or if he had a problem, he would tell you. And your husband may be more of a home buddy, but there's this feeling of like he loves the home. He loves y'all's traditions together, holidays together, making memories together. He could have a love language of quality time. Acts of service too with that Five of Pentacles, like let me support you, let me help you. Your husband is the type of person where they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. They say something to you. If they promise that they're going to do something, they do it. And they love you and they genuinely care about your well-being. It's not like, I don't know, there's not a manipulative energy. If you guys have ever watched Everybody Loves Raymond, there's an episode where I think he's talking to his brother Robert, and he tells him, you should just pretend to be bad at something. So then she thinks you're so dumb or so stupid, your wife doesn't ask you to do it again. And that's called like weaponized incompetence, like pretending to be bad at something. So your partner goes, okay, fine, I'll just do it for you. I won't ask you to do it because you're so bad at it. It can be simple, like I'm going to pretend like I'm bad at cooking, or I'm going to pretend that I'm bad at loading the dishwasher, or, like whatever. So my partner doesn't ask me to do it again. And I mean, you'd be surprised, but that happens, in marriages. And so your future spouse is pulling their weight. Your husband isn't using weaponized incompetence against you, or, you know, being manipulative in any kind of way. You know, I feel like they pull their weight in the relationship, in the marriage, and the day-to-day. And I mean, that makes a difference. If someone's not pulling their weight over time, that creates so much resentment. I think, honestly, especially if you're a woman watching this, I remember when I was in undergrad, I took a sex and gender class, and listen, that was many years ago, so I don't remember the exact statistics, but I was amazed. And like, I knew it, but seeing it in number form, women do so much more when it comes to childcare, when it comes to household responsibilities. And men, even when they work outside the home, and men just don't, husbands just don't do as much. And over time, that creates resentment. And of course, your wife is going to be tired and overworked and burned out. Of course, she's going to be bitter. Of course, she's not going to be as fun. She's tired. And so for you to have a husband who pulls his weight, that's awesome. That's awesome. Because you deserve that. I mean, you deserve to have a partner, not someone who's like an additional responsibility, you know? Not like a man-child, you know? Like, some wives joke that their husband is like another kid. Well, that's messed up. It shouldn't be like that. You know, he's a man. He's an adult, right? And so, yeah, he pulls his weight. And again, he goes against everything. Because listen, I want to say this too. If you have any negative sort of beliefs around love or around men or relationships, I think that comes from your experiences. So don't feel bad, because it's almost like you've been taught that. You've been taught to expect it because you've encountered it over and over again, right? So like, let's say you have a fear of abandonment. If that has happened to you over and over again, it's normal, natural. Sorry, my fridge just got super loud. It's normal, it's natural for you to expect that if you've encountered it over and over again, okay? So if that is the case, don't feel bad about it. It's based upon your experiences. And so your future spouse comes in and shows you, your husband shows you that he is the exception, right? That he is different, that he's not following almost that rule that you've come to believe, right? That belief that you have that everyone leaves. No, he's going to stay. Or that everyone's always out for themselves. No, this is someone who genuinely cares about your well-being. You may have, it may even go as deep as like all men cheat. No, your husband's going to be faithful. You see what I'm saying? So he breaks that rule that you come to believe in, whatever that is, you know, whatever has come about as a result of this Five of Pentacles, Seven of Swords tower. And you may meet your future spouse after a bad breakup. That's not for all of you, but for some of you, or like a really bad argument or a falling out with your parent or a family member or a close friend, someone you trusted. Again, not for all of you, just for some of you. But yeah, there's this feeling of like home and family, like that's what your husband really values. And you know, maybe you don't have children, maybe you have like fur babies, or maybe y'all start a business together and that's your baby. You know, you always take what resonates, apply it how it resonates. But I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, you want children. I definitely think you will have children with this person. And I think he would make a great father. 100%. Like, this is a very healthy masculine energy. Pardon my reality TV examples. But if y'all have ever watched Married to Medicine, I just watched the most recent episode yesterday. Dr. Eugene on that show. To me, is one of the healthiest like expressions of masculine energy I've ever seen. Like he is always like, I'm like, go Dr. Eugene, like he's such a feminist, you know, like in a very like, you know, he just has this healthy expression of masculinity. And he had a couple of moments in this most recent episode where, you know, he had that like feminist, you know, commentary in like his confessional scenes, but he was talking about some of the men were complaining that instead of going golfing on the couples trip, the women had signed, or the wives had signed them up for like a cooking class. And some of the men were grumbling and were like, basically like cooking is for women. And Dr. Eugene was like, how are you going to say that? Like, doesn't everybody eat? You know, like, how are you going to say cooking is a woman's thing? You know, and he just went in about it. You know, he was like, this is ridiculous. Y'all complaining about this. Don't y'all all like to eat? And I think he's actually the one who cooks for everybody on all their couples trips. But yeah, like he doesn't have those, you know, sort of stereotyped gender role like mentality, you know, where he's like, no, you like to eat, right? You can learn to cook. It ain't gonna kill you. It's not a woman's thing. So anyway, your future spouse, your future husband has Dr. Eugene vibes, if you've ever watched Married to Medicine. But, you know, he has his feminist moments, you know, where he like really, I wouldn't even call them moments because I think he's just like that. But, you know, he doesn't believe that like, oh, that's women's work, or, you know, like he pulls his weight. In the same way that, like I said, your husband is going to pull his weight in the relationship. It's not going to be all on you, you know, to do everything. And now we will end your reading with some Spark Romance matchsticks. So I'm just going to intuitively select, let's do 4 matchsticks. We have a tickle fight. So y'all be playful with each other. We have go on a road trip, planned or spontaneous. This would be cute. Like you guys could do like weekend getaways or like fun little day trips. I love a day trip. I'm all about a day trip because, and you know, I'm not surprised to see that because we did talk about your husband being more of like a homebody. And I am very much myself a homebody. And I think when you're like that, it's like, I want to get out of the house. I want to go away, but I don't want to stay overnight. Like I want to come back home to my bed and my cat, you know? So maybe your husband's like that too. Because we did get a message about him being more of a homebody. So maybe he's like, yeah, like let's do a fun day trip. You know, let's go explore this city or this town, or, you know, go like see this waterfall or something like that. But let's come home and sleep in our own bed tonight. You know, let's come back home to the animals or to the kids. Okay, we have hold hands. So y'all be like sweet, you know, like maybe not crazy PDA, but you know, like sweet, like let me hold your hand, let me rub your back, or you know, things like that. We have leave a note in a pocket or bag for your partner to discover. This is one of my favorite things. I'll just share this with y'all before we wrap up your reading. But for like Christmas, I bought my husband this like fancy notepad. It's like leather and it had like a cute little quote at the top. And then the paper, it was like, I don't know, very like thick, like parchment kind of paper. But it was still, what do you call it, perforated, where you can like rip it off very easily. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this to you. And he's like, well, it would be really nice if you'd write like little notes for me. And that had been my plan. So I was like, okay, we're on the same page here. Very punny, I know, on the same page. So that's what I do. Like I just, whenever the mood strikes me, I'll write him like a cute little note, and then he saves it and he like tacks it up on his bookshelf, and then he can look at it in his office. So something like that, or you know, like leaving a little card in their jacket pocket. And they may do this for you as well, but like leaving little notes for each other, or like folding up a note and putting it in their lunchbox for work. And again, this could be them doing that for you, or maybe it's something that both of you enjoy doing for each other, but just cute, sweet little notes. I think there's something very special too in like our digital age of writing a handwritten note to somebody. I think especially like, I don't know, just reading their words and their handwriting is a bit more personal and special than just sending a text. But yeah. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Welcome to your reading. Before we get started, I will say you may see a lot of jump cuts in this reading. I am feeling more short of breath because I filmed another reading before this and the camera cut out on one of those groups, and so I had to film one reading basically twice, and so I'm more short of breath. And I'm also very paranoid that the camera's gonna cut out again. So I'm gonna be checking it a lot just to make sure we don't have that happen again. So anyway, if you see a lot of jump cuts, I am sorry about that. I will say this Queen of Swords that we're seeing as your first tarot card here, I do feel like that's representing you in this marriage. So you don't have to be, but maybe you're an air sign or you have a lot of air sign placements in your birth chart. Libra, Aquarius, Gemini. But the Queen of Swords, she is someone who I think out of all the queens is probably the most emotionally reserved. You know, she's the most guarded. She's got some walls up. She seems tough, reserved, a bit cold. She's not someone you want to mess with. You know, I love the Queen of Swords. She's so smart. She's so very quick-witted, clever. I think she's funny in like a dry humor, maybe sarcastic way even sometimes. The Queen of Swords, she can be a bit intimidating or have like resting, we call it resting witch face. You know, she could have that. But she is also someone who is tough, you know, and she's strong and resilient. And like I said, so smart. But she can overthink and she can be maybe a bit anxious at times and in her head. And so, yeah, we love the Queen of Swords. So if that sounds like you, or a little bit like you chose the right group. Okay. And if not, feel free to choose a different group, or maybe this just isn't your reading. But yeah, you never want to get into an argument with the Queen of Swords. You're asking for trouble. To me, the Queen of Swords reminds me a lot of Dorothy on the Golden Girls. I know that's an old TV show, but to me, she's like one of the best examples of the Queen of Swords because she's so funny. She's so shady. Like, she's so good with the comebacks. Like, she's so quick-witted. But anyway, okay. We have the Three of Cups. We have the Six of Pentacles. We have Child of Nature, friendships with animals, communication with nature spirits. Libra, the Idealist. It says harmonious, cooperative, balanced, socially aware, artistic, people-pleasing, fair, idealistic, aesthetic, choosy, aspirational, geometric, that's funny, graceful, considerate, obliging, indecisive, judgmental, and flattering. And then we have the Hedgehog, which is super cute. Now, I will say, what you and your husband have in common is that both of you can be a little bit prickly. Like, you both can seem like hard to get to know, or like you don't want to cross, you know, like I said, you wouldn't want to cross the Queen of Swords. You don't want to get into an argument with her. It's a little bit different though. You know, I think honestly, like, your intelligence and like the way that you talk and how like you can have like a smart mouth, you know, it's the Queen of Swords, those comebacks, or maybe a little bit of a sarcastic streak like we talked about, but that's kind of what makes you intimidating, or that like resting witch face, right? With your husband, it's more of like he looks physically intimidating. Like, maybe he's really tall, really muscular, you know, but he like looks like tough, like a tough guy, but he's a teddy bear. In the same way that I think when you get past your like cold walls, that cold veneer, past that resting witch face, you are very like, especially in love, you're very ooey gooey and sweet and soft, and I think you're a really good friend. I think both of you are really good friends. And I actually think this is going to be like probably maybe a friends to lovers for some of you, not for all of you, but it could develop that way, or it starts off as a friendship, or it's just a slow burn romance, you know, because neither one of you is going to be like super quick to open up and be emotional. So it may be a slow burn romance. But your husband, he is the type of person where, like I said, he seems really tough, but he has like a heart of gold. And so in terms of your marriage and the type of husband he's going to be very fair, very balanced. We have Libra and the Six of Pentacles. And Libra is often depicted with the scales, right? And we see that on the Six of Pentacles, the scales, justice energy, right? So, you know, your husband is someone who really tries to see everyone's perspective. He tries to be fair. He tries to be balanced. And, you know, he's always going to try to see where you're coming from. And you're the Queen of Swords, so logically, you're going to lay it out. You know, you intellectualize your emotions. So you may not be the most emotionally expressive. And when you do explain how you feel, it may be like in a detached kind of way, where you kind of systematically explain it, rather than like crying or yelling, or, you know, you're just kind of calmly explaining how you feel and why you feel and all that. And so he's going to hear you out. And if ever there is an argument or conflict, disagreement between you two, his objective is always going to be to reach a place of compromise. He's not trying to be right. He's trying to reach a place of mutual understanding, which is very mature. Very mature. Very mature. He may at times give a little to compromise. He may have some tendencies towards people pleasing with Libra energy, and he may at times, I don't think it's to an extreme place, but I think at times he may compromise too much or let you have your way just because he doesn't like having disharmony. He's very good at compromising. He's very good at seeing someone else's perspective. He's very much willing, right, to try to understand where someone else is coming from, and that includes you. And he loves you, right? So he's gonna really try to do that with you. However, he also, I think, struggles with conflict. He doesn't like it. And so he's going to be the type of husband where he's going to say, let's talk this out. We got to talk it out. I don't want to go to bed mad. Let's talk it out. And so I think if you're someone who needs more space to like process how you feel before you talk about it, just communicate that with him. But he hates, and he may also just pretend like everything's fine until y'all can talk about it, because he hates disharmony. And he's also going to be the type of husband where you feel like he's not just my husband, he is my best friend. Like, and that's why I said for some of you, this could be friends to lovers, or it could be that friendship develops, later. But this is someone where even if y'all weren't romantically involved, you're like, I would be friends with my husband, like we have a genuine friendship. And that makes your marriage so much stronger, because it's not just a physical romantic kind of attraction. There's also real genuine friendship there. Like, I enjoy your company. I enjoy the companionship aspect of this. I like to spend time with you. I like to talk with you. We share a similar sense of humor. I also, I will say, I think your husband is very physically attractive. I will say that. That message is coming up. Just as kind of a side message, he is very physically attractive to you. And I also think, again, kind of going back to that idea of like your husband looks like a tough guy, but he's a real softie. I think you're really going to appreciate the kind of, if you have children, like the kind of father he is. Or if you have dogs or cats or pets, you appreciate how sweet he is with them. Because he does have this side to him that's very loving, that's very sweet. I also wouldn't be surprised if your husband is someone who really loves the outdoors. Like, I do pick up also kind of like an earthy energy from your husband. He may have some earth sign placements in his birth chart, Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo. But he could just be someone who really likes to be outside or finds more peace, in nature, enjoys quiet moments, maybe like camping, or, maybe he just likes to take walks outside or meditates outside, or likes to go to parks, or likes to go on hikes, or, if you guys have a dog, he takes the dog out for walks, dog parks, likes to be outside, or maybe he's athletic and plays some kind of sport outside. But yeah, there's just something about him liking to be outside. He could also be into plants or gardening, doing things around the yard. He could be the kind of husband who's always outside doing something, messing around in the yard. I don't know, chopping wood and stuff. So whatever the case may be, he just might like to be outside. And he may take on that role of like, I'm going to be the one who's responsible for yard work because I enjoy doing that. And, you go do whatever you enjoy doing. I think you're gonna have that kind of relationship when it comes to like the division of labor. Like the things that you don't mind doing, you do, and the things that I don't mind doing, I'll do. You know, because there's certain household chores where, you know, you may really not like them, but other stuff you don't mind doing. So for example, maybe you don't mind doing laundry, but your husband hates laundry, and he's like, I'll just do the dishes if you do the laundry. You know, like I just feel like y'all, I don't know, y'all are very direct with each other in that way. So it's like, let's just create a plan and this is what we stick to, or maybe you have like a chore chart, that kind of thing. Yeah, it does feel very fair though. I mean, Libra, 6 of Pentacles, it's very fair. You two also might make the same amount of money as each other, or you're like in a similar financial situation, like both of you contribute equally. This could also be like you guys have a business together, and so, you know, like financially y'all are the same because you're both like working for the same business that you've created together. Or it could be that they work outside of the home, but what you do within the home is like comparable to what they're bringing in financially. But it just feels like both of you have value that you bring to the connection here. It's not like, you know, one of you he's not like a trophy husband and you're not like a trophy wife. Like both of you are contributing in some way. Your husband also might be very like mechanically gifted. I don't know if they're like an engineer or they're just like good at fixing stuff, building stuff. But you have like the type of husband where like, I don't know, the sink is leaking or the fridge is broken. He would just fix it. You wouldn't have to call somebody. He would just figure it out, watch a YouTube video. Or he may be into like DIY projects. I could see that being a thing too, where you see something on Instagram and you're like, oh, that's really cool. Hey, husband, like, are you up for doing this project this weekend? And he would, you know, he would be totally up for that. And you may end up like renovating a house together or something like that. But yeah, I feel like, you know, he's very handy, very mechanically minded. I also think you have the type of husband who likes to brag about you a lot to his friends and his family, especially his friends though. He kind of says like, I have the best wife, or, you know, he may get on his friends' nerves because he talks about you so much. But, you know, I think that's really nice because I think some people have a bad habit of just complaining about their partners to their friends and their family and not really sharing the good stuff. And so your husband's kind of the opposite, and he brags about you a lot, and he's really proud of you and happy to be with you. And yeah, you know, like he hypes you up. He loves you, you know, and he's very proud and happy to call you his wife. And to wrap up your reading here, we'll get some Spark Romance Matchsticks. I almost forgot I cleared your cards, and then I was like, wait a minute, I'm forgetting something. So I'll just intuitively choose 4 matchsticks for you all, and this will wrap up your reading. Root 2. We have Act Like Kids Together. So they may bring out like a sillier side to you, a goofier side. We have Recreate a Memorable Situation from when you first met. Oh, I love that. So maybe like on an anniversary, you're like, let's recreate our first date kind of thing. That would be cute. Or if like something went wrong on like one of your, you know, past dates or past vacations or something, you may try to like have a redo. So like, for example, my husband and I, when we went out on our first official date, we got rained out at the botanical gardens. It was so terrible. We were both like, yeah, let's leave. Let's go ahead and go to the museum that we were going to go to after. And so we started to head back to the car, and that's when out of nowhere, blue sky, sunshine, it just started pouring rain. We were drenched. We were so soaking wet, like we could not go to the museum. We had to like go home and change and shower and stuff. And so it could be something like that, like the weather or something happens and you had your plans messed up, and so you may decide to have like a redo. Like, let's redo our first date because it got messed up by this, or let's redo this vacation because it got messed up by this, you know, so it could be something like that too. Okay, we have write each other love letters. Group 1 got a similar message to this, and I was telling them, I think it's so nice. I think it's so, I don't know, there's something so beautiful about handwriting a message versus just sending your partner a text message. Like, there's something so much more sentimental and personal about it. So yeah, you could write them a letter and like you can give it to them directly, or you can like stick it in their pocket or stick it in their lunchbox or something for them to discover, and or stick it in like, you know, the page of like the book that they're reading, whatever the case. And I think that's kind of cute, you know, for them to like discover the letter. And then we have set a goal together. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if you're the Queen of Swords, you're probably, you know, someone who's a go-getter, maybe a little type A, you work hard, ambitious. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you're like, let's be goal-oriented, let's set some goals. And so this could be like setting a financial goal, like let's save up money so we can buy our first house, or we can have our dream wedding or dream honeymoon, or planning to start a family, or let's make it a goal that we're going to travel to this many places together, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Or even like, let's set a goal that we're going to have date night, I don't know, this many times a week or a month. So it could be something simple too. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Last but not least, Group 3, welcome to your reading. Before we get started, I just want to say I'm a little bit hoarse today, and the camera cut out when I was filming another reading before this. So if you see a lot of jump cuts, it's just me either trying to catch my breath or I'm checking the camera to make sure that we're still filming. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. We have the Six of Wands. We have the King of Wands, which is Leo, Aries, Sagittarius energy, fire sign energy. We have the Six of Cups. We have mushrooms, North Node, destiny, soul school, learning curve, fulfillment, purpose, maturing, experience, fruition, North Star, process, development, practice, path, beacon, blossoming, becoming, integrity, and journey. And we have alchemist, transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. I have to say, your husband might be my favorite out of all the groups today. He has a very likable persona to him. I mean, you have the husband who is a little bit of a show-off, right? It's fire sign energy, a little bit of a show-off. He's very confident, charming, charismatic, and you're dating the funny one. Well, not dating. You will be dating and then married. Maybe you two are already together. But yeah, you're married to the funny one. And, you know, he is also someone who very much is like, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. You know, like he's very confident and very matter of fact. You know, if he wants something, he's going to go get it. And that's just it. You know, he believes in himself. But also, you know, he's not arrogant. You know, I think that he is funny and he can be boastful, but he also can laugh at himself, and he doesn't take himself so seriously. He doesn't take life so seriously. And that's part of why he's so successful, because he doesn't take those failures to heart. He just kind of laughs it off and, you know, keeps it moving. And so, yeah, I mean, you are, I think, dating. Why do I keep saying dating? You might be dating this person right now. This did not happen in group 1 and group 2. Your husband, your future husband, he is the popular one, you know? He's the one that everybody just kind of likes. Very likable. He may be like the golden retriever husband, right? Like, have you guys seen those like memes and stuff? And with the Six of Cups, like, he can be kind of bold and, you know, kind of the life of the party and all of that. And it's almost like everyone wants a piece of him, right? Because he's so sociable and charismatic, and everyone wants to spend time with your husband, right? He may have a lot of friends, well liked by his coworkers, colleagues, you know, that kind of thing. He may be the favorite son, you know, the golden child. I wouldn't be surprised. But you're the one. You're the one he reserves most of his time and energy and effort towards, and you are his priority. Like, he loves himself, you know, he treats himself well. That's fire sign energy, but he loves you just as much as he loves himself, which is a lot. Which is a lot. Yeah, I mean, he has such a soft spot for you. He loves you so much. And it just feels like all like warm and fuzzy, you know? I mean, he just loves you, and he's so sweet with you. So sweet with you. And with the Six of Cups, I mean, this could be someone that you share past lives with, you know, like soulmate energy. And it feels like, you know, no matter how bad you're feeling, your husband can make you laugh, you know? He can make you smile. He makes things seem not so bad. You know, he helps put things into perspective. He's optimistic, but not in a way where it feels disingenuous or like he's invalidating your feelings. But again, just putting it into perspective. and making you laugh about it. And, you know, like if you get emotional or, you know, upset, or you're maybe blowing things out of proportion, you know, I feel like he helps you kind of see the humor, even in dark moments, or, you know, helps you kind of see ways where maybe you're being a little bit irrational, right? Because you're in your feelings, and we all have those moments, right? And so, yeah, I feel like you love the most is like his sense of humor. And with mushrooms, it makes me think of Alice in Wonderland and how she's always chasing the white rabbit. I think that you're really going to like how actively he tries to pursue you in the dating stage. Like, you like that he's honest and upfront and kind of blunt, you know, about what he wants and how attracted he is to you. And he's not afraid to flirt with you or to express how he's feeling or to make it known to you that he's very much attracted to you, and he puts in that effort. I think you're really drawn to that. I think you appreciate it because it really speaks to his confidence, you know? And with the mushrooms too, I think about an alternate reality, a different way of thinking, a broadening of perspective. And so this could be, you know, that you guys have a very different kind of outlook on life, or a different perspective, or just a different way of perceiving things. And he helps you see, I think, a brighter side to life. I think he kind of takes away some of the heaviness that you might feel at times. And he can be a bit of a chameleon too. Like, I just feel like he can get along with anybody. He can talk to anybody. And you may, like, sometimes get frustrated with that. Like, if you guys go somewhere and it's like, oh my gosh, like, does he have to strike up a conversation with everybody? Like, he's real chatty, you know, very sociable. So, like, he can get into, you know, a conversation with the cashier, and then he can start chatting up the Uber driver, like, you know, whatever. Like, he's just really good at talking and connecting with people. And sometimes too, like, you know, if you're trying to talk about something serious, that might be like, okay, like, I'm not joking around, like, we got to talk about this. With North Node Destiny here, I definitely feel like he has this mindset that y'all were meant to be together. You know, I think he's the type of person that doesn't really have regrets. So whatever has happened in his past, he's like good with it. You know, he doesn't carry around a lot of emotional baggage because he just feels like, well, it brought me to you, so I'm not going to complain. I love my life. I love our marriage. I love you. So whatever happened before, who cares? It brought me to you. So I can't have any regrets. And I mean, he's a very, you know, very successful person with Alchemist here. You know, I think it just comes back to that idea of like, he doesn't take life too seriously. And yeah, he's confident, but he's not ruled by his ego, you know, like, I don't want to try this because I'll fail. And then what will people say? What will people think of me? You know, like not wanting to wound the ego. Because our egos can hold us back, right? From a place of fear. But your husband, he's really brave, you know? He's not afraid to mess up. And that's why he's so successful, because he will get up and try and try and try again. And he just takes failures as, okay, that's a way that it won't work, so let me try something different. And I think he gives really good advice. And I think part of that is because he does have that different perspective. And so you help each other a lot emotionally. Emotionally, you both are very supportive of each other because you offer sort of what the other person doesn't have, that differing perspective. So there's a lot of mutual appreciation there. I could also see your husband being the one who plans a lot of fun vacations, fun date nights, that kind of thing. Like I could see him taking the lead on that, or planning a nice party, a nice get together, that sort of thing. I also feel like he's the type of husband to encourage you. If there's some sort of like new hobby you want to try, some sort of new interest you want to explore, he's gonna hype you up. I feel like he gives you a lot of words of affirmations. He's very supportive. He really helps you to build up your self-confidence about things, because we all have our moments of insecurity, right? But I feel like he really builds you up in that way. I also feel like he's the type of husband who would surprise you with little gifts. I feel like he would do that. Like just bring you flowers for no particular reason, or, he's at the convenience store, so he buys you your favorite drink or your favorite snack. Like he just does like little things for you. I think in terms of giving gifts, he's really good at that too, for like special occasions. So for like your birthday or Valentine's Day or your anniversary, he's really good at gifts. But I think even just on a day-to-day, he'll buy you something small just to say like, I'm thinking of you. And I think it makes you feel really special. It makes you feel really loved, like just the effort and the thought. I also feel like he would be the type of husband who can't really keep his hands off of you. And, it's not coming from like a possessive place, I don't think. I think it's more of like, he loves you and he's proud to be with you and he's attracted to you. And I think it's like a comfort thing. So, he may keep his arm around you, or like want to hold hands, or, like just be touching you in some way. And you may like that or you may not like that, but I am seeing that from your cards. But yeah, it's like, and he has that mentality too. And I think this is a fire sign thing, because I'm a Leo and I feel this way too. Like we belong to each other. Like we've chosen to belong to each other. That doesn't mean that you're my property or that I own you, but that we have chosen that I am yours, you are mine. We are, a partnership. We're a unit together. It's not just me. We're an us thing now. So if I am about to make some sort of big life decision, obviously I can't make that choice until I have spoken with you, because what I do affects you, because we are one, we are a unit. We have, yes, our individuality, but we are also a partnership together. Both of those things can coexist at the same time. I can be my own individual, but also belong to you as your partner, and you belong to me as mine. So yes, it's not like possessiveness, right? But it's more of like, I have this understanding that what I do affects you because we are together and we've chosen to be together. And so you need to be included in my life, and my, in any choice I make. If it's going to affect you, I need to talk to you about it. Not to get your permission, but to get your feedback, right? Because, you shouldn't be making big life decisions without, talking to your partner. So y'all are a team. And I think he really looks at it like that. Like, we're a team. We're in this together. And if we're going to achieve something, it's going to be together. And he's the type of man where if he has some kind of success in his life, he's going to say, thank you to my wife. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for maybe picking up the slack in some areas so I could go do what I needed to do. Let's say, my aunt told me this story and it always stuck with me. She knew a nurse who, instead of, advancing her own career how she wanted to, she put her plans to the side. So she was an RN and she wanted to go get her nurse practitioner. So that is a master's level degree. But she put that on the back burner, you know, to support her husband through, well, he wasn't her husband. No, I messed that up. He was her live-in boyfriend, but I think that they were engaged. So it was her fiance, because they were waiting to do the wedding after he graduated med school. So she financially supported him through med school. And the agreement was, when he graduated med school, well, then they would have time to do the wedding and the honeymoon and all that, right? And it would be, you know, more financially feasible. Well, when he graduated med school, he left her. He left her for somebody else. And so she was devastated, obviously, because she had wasted all of this time and money into this man, and she had put her own dreams and aspirations on the back burner for him. So she was devastated. And so your husband is not that type of person. If you are supporting him in something, like if he decided he was going to go get his master's degree, and so you had to pick up the slack financially because he's going to school, you would be the first person he would thank. He would recognize that what you did made that possible. Or if he got a promotion at work, he would say, you know what, thank you, group 3, my wife, or my husband. Thank you for supporting me, because if you weren't picking up the slack at home, I wouldn't be able to pull those late nights at work so I could get this promotion. You know, if you weren't taking care of the kids, or, you know, taking care of the house and cleaning and cooking and doing all that, I wouldn't have been able to work so many hours a week to get this promotion. So thank you. Like, he would recognize that. He would say that. You know, it wouldn't be a situation to where, you know, he wouldn't give you your flowers. He wouldn't give you your due. He would recognize that the reason why I could do what I needed to do was because you were holding it down for me in some kind of other way. And that's nice. I mean, it's nice for, you know, to give that credit, because it's hard. You know, if your partner wants to do something big, you know, like they want to go back to school, or they want to get promoted, or change career fields, or start a business, start a side hustle, you know, they have some kind of big goal that they want to achieve, and you're there supporting them, that's a lot on you too. So I think that's really nice that your husband is going to give you that credit and is going to recognize what you bring to the table in the relationship and show appreciation. You know, I think it makes all the difference in the world if you have a partner who says thank you and who expresses gratitude. You know, there's nothing worse than feeling like you're doing so much for somebody else and they don't even appreciate it. So it's very nice that you have the type of husband who does show you that appreciation and does express gratitude and gives you your credit. Okay, and now we will wrap up your reading with some Spark Romance matchsticks here. And I'm just going to intuitively choose 4 matchsticks. I will also say your husband is very expressive. You know, he's not monotone at all. And he's very excitable, very excitable. He does have this youthful energy to him. Like, you know, the longer y'all are together, he will still have like the same energy level and still have the kind of same, I'm hearing like zest for life, as corny as that sounds, but he's not like, you know how sometimes people get older, they get kind of set in their ways and they kind of, I don't know, they kind of lose their energy and they're not as active as they were before, or maybe they get depressed about growing older, because I mean, growing older is hard, you know, like you can lose your independence over time. It's tough. Growing older, it can be tough. It's a blessing, but it's tough. And so your future spouse, your husband, he is someone who is going to have so much energy, is going to remain very active and very independent. Even as he gets older and older, he's still going to maintain that. Not to say it's not totally going to change, but he's going to, you know, maintain that. He's not going to be the type of husband that retires and then becomes like a couch potato. We have plan a weekend away just for the two of you. I think I mentioned that he's going to be the type of husband to plan date nights and vacations and things like that. Plan a secret rendezvous. There you go again. And secret rendezvous could be like a surprise vacation, or a surprise trip, or, you know, a surprise date night somewhere special. So he'll tell you, okay, get dressed, wear something nice, but I'm not going to tell you where we're going because I want it to be a surprise. Or let's sneak away and do something fun together, you know, while the kids are at school. Or let's play hooky from work today and, you know, take a PTO day and go do something fun together. We have stay in and have a game night. I could see your future spouse, your husband, getting really into game night, because with that Six of Wands, I could see him being like a little competitive. So I could see him getting into that. Oh my gosh, every group got this kind of message in a different way. It says, send your partner a handwritten letter in the mail. So I'll say the same thing to you as I said to the other groups. I think there's something really cute and sweet and special about handwriting a message to your partner. Instead of just sending a text message, I think it just adds a little extra something, you know, makes it a little bit more sentimental when it's in your own handwriting. And if you feel self-conscious about your handwriting, don't worry about it. Like my husband feels self-conscious about his, and I'm like, no, like it's so special to see it written out in your own words. Like, you know, don't worry about that. Okay. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading.